welcome to Bennett's Mouth. See what I did there? I'm going to do a bit of a build series. So I've started some renovations on my house and I'm getting to a bit of a pivotal point. So before it starts to dramatically change, I thought I'll get something on camera. Now I'm absolutely shite at talking to the camera screen, so let's get my ugly mug off this face and I'll show you what's behind curtain number 1. Oh, that's better than looking at me, innit? So what have we got in here? Well, let's just try and pull the camera back a bit. Okay, so we are inside what used to be cupboard space. So down here, that's where I was just stood earlier, we had a little cubbyhole to the right of our front door, which is behind the curtain there, and you can see we've got bare brickwork here, and this here is the internal wall. I'll get back to that. So I've stripped the plasterboard off it, there's a bit there, and to reveal all the brickwork, what I've got behind it, just so I could work out what I'm up against. And basically this was a little sort of cloakroom, if you like. We got some rad pipes coming down which goes through the wall to radiate the other side there, and then here was basically an old door frame. So you can see I bricked it up there and broken it off there. So that was just a lintel going across which carried the rest of the block work above, and the doorway just went into a cubbyhole which went as far as that corner there, and there was a stud wall which kind of married up. You can just see the sort of plasterboard line there, and that closed off this little corner, so there wasn't much to it. There's the stud wall there, look. So yeah, I've taken all of that out now, stripped it all back. So here the wall was dot and dabbed, and you can see it's a painted wall. I don't think it was primed or anything because the entire board was flapping at the bottom, and I literally just pulled off the whole sheet in one go. Job's a good one. So that was a good idea from whoever done that before. And then on the other side, that's going into our living room now, and this wall was all just plastered straight onto the brickwork. Now when I took this bit of plasterboard off and the frame out, what it revealed was the brickwork is actually glazed bricks. So all of this is glazed bricks, but it's just been painted over the years. So you can just see where the wall divide was. So that's got cream glazed bricks above, and then on the bottom half it's this lovely sort of reddish brown colour. Now this entire building is basically what used to be a carriage house and stables for a manor house down the road. And so you can see the really high ceiling. So basically that's the top of the brickwork just there, and then the roof trusses start there. So that's probably where they would have stored the hay. That's the ceiling line, and then the rest of this would have been carriage house or stables, whichever end of the building it was at the time. So it's all quite interesting pulling all this apart. So what I've done basically here is took the lintel out and the blockwork above, which was very straightforward because you can see literally only one block was interlocking with this wall, and none of them were interlocking with the brickwork. So with that in mind, it was relatively easy, and I'm thinking that the rest of these internal walls aren't actually interlocking with any of the internal walls over the opposite side, which will be really handy because that means I can just knock these down. They don't look like they're even supporting anything above because these ceiling joists do lock into pockets in the brickwork, and then they, oddly enough, only 4-inch thick timbers, but they span the entire width of the house, which is roughly 5-6 meters. It's quite a span for 4-inch timber, but you know, back then farmers or whatever never thought about all that sort of thing, because that's all lath and plaster up there, so that's all going to come down eventually anyway, but that's further on down the line. So having removed all of that, we come through into the living room. Now the previous owners have put in this suspended ceiling, and I'll just step around underneath the cable here. So they've done one better, and they've just used 3-inch timbers to span. So I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but there's a huge sag in this span. And that was our ceiling in the living room basically. So here I've sort of cordoned off and done a little like temporary wall with some plastic sheeting one side, and I've put a dust sheet up this side to stop any crap from spreading into the rest of the living room. And this gap here is about 1.2 meters, and basically I've just taken out one of the joists and the plasterboard just to reveal the rest of the brick wall that was in this so-called void storage space as we were sold when we bought the property. But yeah, you can see some heating pipes coming along there, and despite this being our living room, in the opposite corner is a little cupboard with our boiler inside it, which I think this cable, which goes all the way around straight up to our little electric consumer unit up there, you can see a nice handy space there to put it. I think that actually feeds the boiler, but I'm not entirely sure because I've not gone that far across the ceiling. With them only being 3-inch joists, I've decided not to try and crawl all the way to the opposite side of the room yet, just until we've absolutely cleared out the living room. So my plan was to clear this entire wall across here, get it back to its bare bones, and just see what I'm up against basically. So lintels out, I filled all that back up solid with some muck, any other little cracks. All of these mortar joints up and down this brickwork were hollow, so I just filled all them, pointed them back up, and any holes elsewhere, just to make it all rock solid, because one of the factors that we're working on is soundproofing, which you can see the start of over there, which is one reason why I wanted to just get this video on camera. So all of this is going to be covered up soon, and so whilst it's all exposed, I just thought I'd get it all on camera and talk you through it. So this is a party wall. I'm confident that this is a brick thick wall, because if you can see the pattern here, we've got a row of coarser headers, and then we got coarse, another headers, and that repeats itself all the way up and down. The neighbours next door reckon it's a 1.5 bricks, which is possible, but I've only just been able to expose the top of the brickwork up there, and I can only poke my hand as far as 1 brick deep. So 1 brick thick confirmed, 1.5 bricks, who knows. One thing's for sure is the external wall, which is that wall, is definitely a 1.5 bricks thick, because you can tell by our reveals in the doorways and the window reveals and whatnot. So that much is obvious. Now, what do we got going on over here? So let me get that ladder out of the way. Let's put that there. So I'm covering up this wall next, and so I just wanted to, because you can see there we've got what I thought was a dot and dabbed wall, plaster wall, but it's actually batten and insulation behind that, and basically inch link insulation was all over this wall. You can see the batten lines there and the fixings, and it seems that whatever is going on previously was plastered over, and I think you can see here some of the old wallpaper. Now that's got texture to it, that has. So I think all of this texture that's left on this wall is the pattern of the old wallpaper, kind of like a leafy pattern, which is quite interesting. So you see there I started chiseling away to see what was going on, because obviously we went from brickwork to plaster. I was just like, oh great, another hurdle to get over. As it turns out, these glazed bricks come up to this course here and then they stop by bricks. So, and then obviously we've got a lintel going on here, timber lintel, so I reckon there was possibly an original doorway here which went out through back of the building to whatever was there before. Another thing that cropped up was a lot of the plaster was quite soft down in this corner. Now it was only sort of like a couple of bricks where it was soft, and that all fell off, and I've chiseled off back to where it goes dry and solid again, and I'm pretty confident that that moisture that is in the bricks in this corner was just a bit of moisture that's been trapped there over the years. Because if I get down here, now I know you can't see it on camera, but that hole there only goes back half a brick, and I've taken a photo of it, and the brick behind is dry. Everything else in the back of that hole seems to be dry. I don't think there's any moisture that's like coming this way. So whatever was going on originally, I think the moisture has just got trapped there and just settled into that corner, because it's quite a tight little corner there and there's nowhere else for it to go, and that's what's happened. If you think anything else is going on, let me know in the comments. I don't think there is anything else going on, because like I say, I've chiseled it back to the dry spots, and you can see the difference there. That's dry. That's, well, that's just discoloration of the brickwork actually. It's only been exposed for a day, but it's drying out anyway. It's not, and it's been raining outside, so, and it's not getting wet again, so we could be all right in that. This being a party wall, we can just about hear talking, or TV talking, something on the radio talking, coming through this wall, because it is just solid brick, but brick and a half, 2 brick thick, it's still bringing through vibrations. So after lots and lots of YouTube video research and whatnot, I've come up with a system that I'm going to be soundproofing this wall with before finishing it in plasterboard. So at the end of the day, this room is becoming the kitchen, so we've got a lot going on yet, but the first port of call with the soundproofing is this 20mm MLV, which is mass loaded vinyl, and you can see here I've stuck it to the wall already. I've gone through there, I've gone through videos of how to stick it to the wall from various other installers, and so far all I've used is some contact adhesive, just sprayed on the back of that and onto the wall, and then you just sandwich it together and the contact adhesive does its thing. And I also used some sticks like as a secondary fixing, just to make sure it stays on that wall for a long period. And what I'm also going to do is just put a few mechanical fixings, one in each corner and maybe just one in the middle for now. We'll see how this first one goes. The videos I've watched does recommend a minimum of 5, otherwise it's like 9, so 3 across the top, 3 across the middle and 3 across the bottom. And this is the start of it anyway, and this is why I just thought I'd make this video, just to show you before all this lovely brickwork gets covered up. It's a shame really. One thing I have done, is because obviously it's all got this old paint all over it, is I went over it quite meticulously with this metal brush, just to get off all the loose bits and just to get it roughly smooth, get any knobbly bits off out the way. And then I just went over it with a seal, which is just a watered down PVA seal, and just splashed that all over and made a bit of a mess, as you can see. Yeah, that's the progress I've made so far, and we'll see you in the next one.
And don't forget, I was born to be liked. So, subscribe, you son of a bitch.